What happens when I hit this one? Now with background music. That's right. How do we like that? I have no idea. We're going to try it out for a little bit. Why not? We got new buttons on the Streamlabs. Hello, world. Hey, Jeans. Good to see you. I'm low energy mode right now. Maybe the gummies. It may be that I drank too much last night. Whatever it is, I'll see how long I can make it. I have to be in bed to get to work tomorrow. I'm not drinking today. I got a little bit of hot cocoa. I've got one bona fide, legitimate, authorized, pasteurized, homogenized bag of funny books I got from my local comic book shop, my LCS. This week, this very Wednesday, new comic book day. One of the big missions of this show is to get you to go to your local comic book shop and spend some money there if we are worried about the health of our hobby. So, my advice is to put your money where your mouth is. That's fine. That's true. You don't have to. But you know what? You'd be cooler if you did. Speaking of cool, hey, AL, how you doing? Pikachu's happy to see you and yours. Hope everything's doing well. I read 16 different Marvel books to review this week. I had a really good show this morning. I feel like, oh, wow, I already expended all my podcast energy doing two shows in one day. That's it. It's like, I had a really great show with Jim from Weird Science. Let me get you that link. I got that for you. We talked for an hour and a half about 2 comic books. Jim wants to do a little bit more of a positive show, and he's enlisted me in his endeavor here to, have a better time with our hobby. And I inadvertently make suggestions to him, and he took me up on a suggestion of mine, specifically Sabretooth, the dead don't tell tales. Is that how you say it? Let me I'm butchering. The dead don't talk. There you go. That's what I was trying to say out loud. Jim is feeling fine now. Yeah, he thinks he might have gotten a concussion, a slight one, enough that fogged him up for a day. Hello, Bone. How's it going? You like the hat? That was Bone's idea. Bone left a message, a comment in my gratitude show, and he said, "Make America grateful again." And I said, "That's going to make a good hat," and I did. I put this. This is a Kelly Green hat. The font is called Print, Print, and it is. I got it from the Amazon store. Yeah, and I left I left a link to it in the community notes earlier, but I'll drop it here because internet. Boom. And St. Paddy's Day, we're into the green today. Well, it's St. Paddy's Day is tomorrow, but today, it's St. Patrick's Day weekend in Boston, and apparently Atlanta has a parade. Wow, I didn't know that. That's cool. A St. Paddy's Day parade. Well, I guess lots of Irish people settled in the South in the antebellum days. Antebellum means before before the Civil War. In the antebellum South, they say the original Southern accent was closer to the Southern drawl. That's more of a more recent thing, but the more classic historical Southern accent was an Irish brogue. You can look it up. St. Pat's. And yeah, oh boy. And I'm doing okay. I might cut it short today, but like I said, just like me and Jim, we had a half an hour long awesome talk about 2 comics. We reviewed Nick Fury versus Fin Fan Foom #1 by J. Michael Straczynski with art by Elena Casagrande. And we also reviewed Sabretooth the Dead Don't Talk #4, written by Frank Thierry, and art by was it Michael? Yeah, Michael St. Marie. And colors by Rochelle Rosenberg. And apparently Jim had taken me up on this book because I keep talking well about it in our I talk to Jim about new comic books every week, so I give the reviewer my review, so I'm in the review circuit, and that's cool. And now I'm on his legit review show, and Frank Thierry, the writer of Deadpool, not Deadpool, I mean the writer of Sabretooth, let me see. I'm gonna make sure that I don't have anything naughty up. Make sure and check those tabs so I don't let it loose. You don't have to share, like I say to all my girlfriends, you have to put up with my kinks and my snoring. And that's why I don't have a girlfriend. So Frank Thierry responded to a tweet. See, Jim put out the link. Sunday morning comics talk with talking Marvel comics with Sully, and it's about 90 minutes. It's really cool, and Frank Thierry responded it, and he obviously watched it because you'd only know that we said this if you were watching our review. He said, "Thanks for the review, guys," and yeah, I have no problem with you saying it's Sabretooth in Gangs of New York. That was literally my pitch to Marvel. So we got a wonderful tweet 2 weeks in a row from the Marvel creators that are working on these books that we're trying to get you to read, because it's not all doom and gloom out there. It's there are some good things out there, and they're just waiting for you to find. Ha ha ha! You're right, Yule Carter. My vocals are going to be shot. Well, my coworkers tomorrow will thank you for it. You know what I mean? Like, oh, good, he's finally shut up. How's everyone doing out there? Yeah. Happy St. Patrick's Day weekend. I had my boiled dinner. My boiled dinner was, corned beef. It was a corned beef dinner on a bed of cabbage, boiled cabbage with boiled vegetables. There were, it was carrots and butternut squash, and a couple of boiled red potatoes with a generous amount of butter, salt and pepper, and some a little bit of yellow mustard for the corned beef, and just a dash or two of vinegar for the cabbage. And someone suggested that, and I was like, oh, that kind of makes sense. I'm a professional chef, as you know, and vinegar and cabbage go hand in hand. You know what I mean? It's like German food. I love, I love making German food, and pickled cabbage, like red cabbage with onions and red wine and apple cider vinegar and some oil, some garlic, salt, and pepper, and you fry it up all together. You saute it all together. My mouth's watering. And it's really good. And you can sop up the juice with your bread, your buttered bread. I'm getting hungry all over again. I just had supper. But I got my Irish boiled dinner on Friday night with a couple of pints of Guinness. I hung out last night with Gray from Wakazashi's Tea House. Let me get that link for you right here. Hello, Wakazashi's Tea House. Wakazashi's Tea House. Wakazashi's Tea House. There we go. For the Love of Comics, issue number 2. Talking with Sally. Here we go. Let me get that link for you. Right here. Boom. Yeah. Polish food as well. Exactly. And I love pickling. I love pickling onions. I love pickling cabbage. Pickling's a really interesting thing. It's just a cooking note for a second, because this fires me up. I need that energy boost. And thinking about delicious culinary stuff always gives me a boost of energy because I get fired up. Okay, a salad dressing. It's gonna go full circle. A salad dressing. Okay, it's like 3 to 4 parts vinegar to 1. No, it's 3 to 4 parts oil to 1 part vinegar, and then you whisk it up, or you blend it together and make an emulsification, which is a temporary bond. You know what I mean? It's like and the reverse of a salad dressing is a pickling liquid, and that would be 3 to 4 parts vinegar to 1 part oil, and then you throw in some whatever your aromatics are, a bay leaf, some of those some of that Corning, seasonings. Malt vinegar is that's an acquired taste, and it's very Irish and British. And I love Guinness, but I've never acquired a taste for malt vinegar on my French fries, on my chips, one could say. Maybe that's next. Maybe I'll get I like vinegar, and I'll try that next time. I do like Irish curry I love curry fries now. Maybe I'm turning, Oh my goodness! Yule Carter says, Irish Pride Sully, who's your favorite Mick comic creator? Yeah. I hope you like the hat, Yule. Yule, I got this great story. A Haitian lady, beautiful Haitian lady too. I should have hit on her. Hey, Elaine, how's it going, buddy? She came right up to me on the train, and she looked at me and quizzically, and she said, "Excuse me, sir, that hat, is that a MAGA thing?" And I looked at her and I smiled, and I was like, "No." And she smiled at me brightly, and we laughed. And it was like the exact reason I made this hat is to make communication possible and provoke understanding. That's my sauciness, but to provoke understanding. Ooh, wow. How about that? So yeah, that's how you make a pickling liquid. You know what I mean? And you bring it up to a boil, and as it's cooling, you can put the veggies in there. You don't want the veggies to cook, but while it's still hot, it can still interact with the veggies. You don't want it in a roiling boil. Yeah, I mean you'll figure it out. Pickling's great. What are you saying here, Lane Kramer? What's going on? Can I say how much I have disliked Amazing Spider-Man 8 Steps to Spider-Man? Yeah, we can talk about that. We'll get to that because I read ASM number 69 this week of 70. It ends next week, and then that's it for this volume of Spider-Man. And then there's a new volume and a new issue, number 1, with art by Pepe Larraz, and John Romita Jr. will be returning it. I'm a Romita Jr. fan, so I understand. He's not everyone's cup of tea. It's a little bit clunky sometimes. I'm okay with that. You have to be aware of your surroundings, please. Oh boy. But yeah, it's a year's worth of comics has been wasted. Yeah, it was 12 issues in total. I think it was definitely about 6 issues too long, maybe 6 to 7 issues too long. This could have been much better if it was the 5-issue trade paperback arc format. If you cut out all the fat, and there was a lot of it. I mean, I liked ASM 69 a lot better than most because I like the art. Mark Farmer is inking Ed McGuinness. I thought it looked great. There was some line weight. I really liked the art. I even liked the last page, like the spider juggernaut, the spider knot, and it's the story's got to land. So it's like at least this segment of the story, that the penultimate chapter, it made sense story wise because it's got to lead. It's leading up to the end, and the last 6 issues have been some meandering, fluff. Ditko could have drawn this in 1 annual. That's exactly, yes. Hey, what up? DJ Ronnie G, how you doing? Yeah, so good to see everyone out there. Oh my gosh, I was on Wakasashi Gray's last night. Link is in the chat, you'll find it there, and that was fun. But yeah, I actually ended up having 4 pints of Guinness, and it's amazing how 4 pints of Guinness can ask me out so much the next day. Yep, Blood Squad 7 comes out on Wednesday. The Sacrificers, G.I. Joe, Energon Universe 5. There's some good stuff coming out. If you're into that whole Marvel thing, One World Under Doom #2 is coming out. Black Panther, Ultimate Black Panther. I mean, it's a solid rec. And but yeah, so Frank Thierry not only gave me a follow on Twitter, he liked me and Jim's review. Thanks for the review, guys. And because we that's why we said it was like it's set in Marvel Manhattan, 1909, and it's Sabretooth in a period piece that's evocative of Martin Scorsese's The Gangs in New York. And so here's the writer of the book. And we were and it's great because Jim was nonplussed and disinterested in this book. And it's always, I read every Marvel book he sends me because that's part of the gig, and it's a wonderful thing too. But I've been reading it. So the first issue was a miss for me. Yeah, I admit that, but it was the art that pulled me into the story, into the second issue. And I stayed tuned to it. So I kept on saying better things about it every month. And so Jim was finally like, okay, let me catch up. So he read 1, 2, 3, and then we read 4 for this week. And we were just fresh in the story and really having a good time talking about this, raving about the art quality by Michael Saint Marie. Is it Michael Saint Marie? Am I butchering names again? Yeah, Santa Maria. Or is it Saint Maria or Santa Maria? STA dot. Is it, it's or when you see someone from Britain and it says Saint John is his first name, but it's actually pronounced Sinjin, or Saint-Jin or something like that. You gotta say it fast. I'm good at that. I mumble like you wouldn't believe. Seriously. Awesome. Guinness is not my favorite. I love Guinness. It's an acquired taste, and it's one of the lowest alcohol by volume beers out there. And it's amazing how I can just get ripped on 4 of them in 2 hours. That's a beer a half an hour. And I'm like, oh gosh, kid, you're getting old. That's okay. I know what it's like to be drunk. Maybe it's time to stop drinking. It just asses me out the next day. And I'm just like, I had my living room still looks like the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark. There are boxes everywhere. Half of them at least are packed up with my mom's nice clothing that I'm going to send to the homeless shelters or the women's shelter. And but I still got 2 closets left to unpack. It's see, Bone, I am the opposite. I drink Miller Lite and I drink Guinness Stout. Both of them have a complete absence of hops. 2 of my best friends, Aaron and Peter, we used to brew our own beer. We did it for years in a row. We got really creative and we got really good at it. So hops are important, and the smell of them and the feel of them, and they give, and just we brewed a bunch of beer. We've also screwed it up a few times. So file under live and learn. But great. That was really good time to spend some quality time with your friends, and you know what I mean. You know what I mean. I did not. I gave up at the first issue, I think. I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm still mad at Jenny Lynn Hayden for cheating on Kyle Rayner like that. I'm petty like that, I really am. It really reminded me of a failed relationship or two in my life. So, I mean, just she don't impress me much. Sorry. And Oh, did you see that? Oh, yeah, Kid Eternity got gender swapped. Yay. Oh, no. Yeah, let me. Hold on. I'm celebrating. Celebrate holidays. Celebrate. Gonna mix some butter with my eggs. We're gonna have emulsification. Holidays. Oh my goodness, it's date night with the hubby. I hope you get lucky. Go get him, Tiger. Get busted by the cops making out in the back seat of your car. The weather's nice. You know what I mean? That's awesome. Have a great evening, AL. Thank you so much. And Pikachu says thank you. See, with the light, you can really see your gift from the Tokyo Tower. And let's see what else. So I've been on 3. This is my 4th comic book show this weekend. We had a really good show on Wes's Thinking Critical on Saturday morning. Talked about Ultimates number 10. That was great. I was waiting for the comments to light up on fire. Like Wes had a video on Ultimates number 10. I think it ended up on a Reddit, a Dennis Camp Reddit or a Ultimates Reddit. Because did you know that Thinking Critical was on a list? Wes is on a list of far right YouTube creators. He's got his. I've known him for the better part of 3 years now. I've been, so it's like I got a good idea of he's like. Who cares what he's like politically? I don't think he's far right. Dude, I think the most arrogantly right person of the show is Aaron Sparrow. And the bluest person we got to balance that out is our very own Yule Carter. That's right. That's why we call him Big Blue Yule. And then so we're in the middle are just stragglers like me. And Wes got some right-leaning stuff too. You know what I mean? But still, it's like, I think we have a really good spectrum of voices and of opinions and of points of view and of tastes and of observation. And it's good to hanging out with people, talking about comic books. So yeah, I got to talk with Gray last night, Jim this morning. And this is my 4th show this weekend. Woof. How about that? I'm YouTube famous. No, I think not. Let's see. I didn't even care about it. I dropped the series at issue 2. It's an alternate universe team. If I am not reading it, it is out of sight, out of mind. I hear you. And let's see. I am skipping GL Core, sticking with just regular Lantern series. If there's any crossover stories, I will pick up those core issues. I picked up. Well, let's get to it. Because it was actually a bigger week. We got a bunch of comics in here. I spent about, I think, $42. I think. Oh, here's my receipt. Hold on. I spent $40.92, 40.92 at my comic book shop this week. No bags, no boards, no boxes. Here's some of my pull lists. So my pull this week had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 books. My pull last week, we all know, had 0. Big reason why I didn't have the show. Another reason why, I drank way too much. And it just asked me out all day long. And and so, yeah, but I had 7 comics on my pull list this week, And then I bought a couple of other things. And such as, well, let's see real quick. Flash Gordon number 7 by Jeremy Adams, new artist, Tom Derenick. And it's pretty good. It fits in. It's trial by combat as Flash Gordon has to establish himself with respect and honor in front of his old friend, Prince Voltan of the Hawk People. Yes. And it's charming. I like a Jeremy Adams book. As we just said, more Jeremy Adams. And it's co-written by Morgan Hampton, and she is a one of the newer DC writers. But here you could, and there's two distinct flavors of the animated series in here. I hope you notice that's Razor, okay, right there. Razor is now a Green Lantern. Razor was initially a Red Lantern who also got a Blue Lantern ring. So in that season 3, I guess, of Young Justice that Aaron Sparrow wrote, he's got did Aaron Sparrow write that one, or is that the one that Jeremy Adams wrote? I can't keep up with all these people. But Razor had a red and a blue ring. You know what I mean? So it kind of looked like a 3D glasses. That was pretty cool. But there's a great moment in here where because the reveal at the end of the issue was that Hawkwoman, Shira Hall, needed John Stewart's help. Now, if you know your Bruce Timm verse of Justice League Unlimited, Hawkgirl, Shira Hall, and Green Lantern John Stewart were a thing. And then they had broken up by Unlimited. So John's now dating Mari, Vixen. And so there is elements of a love triangle there. And then to top it all off, in Batman Beyond, we're given the Justice League Beyond. And on that team is Warhawk, the child of, you guessed it, Green Lantern John Stewart and Shira Hall, Hawkgirl. And this is pretty decent. It moved pretty well. And yeah, here. So I don't think canonically they've ever had a relationship, John and Shira. I think here it's presumed. And I see, maybe it's just like post Dark Crisis on Infinite. No, Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths did not reboot Earth Prime Zero. It reestablished the Infinite Earths. So it went from our local multiverse of 52 to back to Infinite. That's, I think, right? You let me know. But this was actually a really cool story moment. There's like they have to hide in the closet because Red Lantern, what's the name of the cat? Dexter. That's Dexter, the Red Lantern. And so they're gonna hide in this closet, and she's looking up at him, and he's looking straight ahead. He doesn't want to make eye contact. And they're in there for they could have kissed, they could have not. You know what I mean? They didn't. No. I thought it was a nice story, Pete. And also we talk about marketing and shit. Okay, they have this great advertisement inside. Now, I'm totally over The Killing Joke. All right. I don't need another copy of The Killing Joke. I'm between copies and I can tend to stay that way. This is an oversized book. It's 13 by 20. It's $225. And it's Brian Boland, Batman, The Killing Joke, and Other Stories in Art Gallery edition. So it's like a hodgepodge of his Batman stuff. Or his DC stuff. I mean, it's Mystery in Space 15, Batman 400 story arc, and more than 100 covers, including Wonder Woman and Animal Man. I wonder if it has his Invisibles. But that sounds nice. Here you go, and I think it's selling itself on some kind of retro nostalgia kind of thing. It's got that kind of, retro-y look. And then we also have Absolute Flash. And look, WB Park Studios. Yeah, these are the ads in your funny book. It's $2.99. There's a $3.99 book. Yeah. What else do we got this week? Aquaman, number 3 by Jeremy Adams. It's pretty good. See, Aquaman finds this Omega and where Atlantis should be, and he enters it, and it transports him to a different world or something, and it's full of magic, and he's also, since absolute power, there was some power set swapping going on, and he inherited his wife's power set. and he can still talk to the fishes too, and he's still king of the sea. But now it's just like it's actually pretty good, you know. And it's a well done story. You got Arion, who is like, this is like my favorite page, was this the big bad here, and he's talking totally in big bad speak. I love that. Bring him to me, mercenary maids. Bring this Aquaman to my feet. I just think that's just so stupid. And not stupid, but you know what I mean? It's just like, I love it. That's big bad. That's how big bads talk. And we call it the Dini verse, not the Tim verse. Tim wants Batman and Batgirl and Batman. Yeah, they did though, canonically, in that Earth. I mean, that was and Batman Mystery of the Batwoman in 2003. That was the subtext of it. And there was also a thread that was left in Batman Beyond, because Barbara was Commissioner Gordon by then, and it was presumed that relationship. But then came something even more devious, was a Batman Adventures comic book that's set in that BTAS universe, where it says says to Bruce, like, I'm pregnant, 8 weeks. He's like, well, I'll be sure to congratulate Dick. And he's like, yeah, but he's been gone for 10 weeks. And, and so, yeah, that's canon to its own specific Earth. You know what I mean? Hence this comic book shop style conversation that we like to have. Mark Miller, Jupiter's Legacy finale number 5, the finale of the finale. We got an artist switch. Lee Carter does a pretty good job. I think Tommy Lee Edwards started this book, but it lands. That's the one thing about, I was a little lost in this book. I've got almost every issue of this. I will say I've got like 87% of this book, and I need to catch up on maybe like 7 stray issues of this, and I'll have the complete run in floppies of Mark Miller's Jupiter's Legacy, which is a pretty darn good book, especially the earlier stuff. But this ties it all together right at the end. Mark Miller knows how to land a story. And from something that I was so kind of bemused and confused and just like, I've been looking at these books and I've been trying to read them, but they're hard to follow. And I think I might have missed I think I missed Jupiter's Legacy 2. And if that's the name of it, see, yeah. Yeah, and that was established in Epilogue. Yeah, for Justice League. I need to pick up Justice League Unlimited. I mean, I've got Batman the animated series. I've got the box set from a couple of years ago. I've got the Batman Beyond. I've got Superman the animated series. I've got Green Lantern the animated series, which has nothing to do with that, or does it? Can it? Should it? No, I think that's exclusive to its own world, because like it is. Well, because the animation style is just so close, but I don't think it is. But yeah, this was a good book. It just ties everything together, lands it, and it's a closed thing. It's like a manga. It has a beginning, it has an end. This isn't the story has a, it's an ending. Yeah. Not like the Batman story or the Superman story or the X-Men story or the Spider-Man story, the never-ending battle. Superman. Speaking of Superman number 5, this issue is, it ends the first arc, and it shows you the fate of the planet Krypton. Hey, JK, how's it going? Good to see you. I'm still getting used to all the creaks of the house, of my mom's condo here, my condo. I'll always call it my mom's condo. But it's pretty blustery out there today. It's really windy right now, and I'm just like, I can always, I just good to see you. Awesome. But yeah, so this got a stay of execution. I was about to drop it off of my pull list, And now I am just, it landed well. So this is part 5 of 5. And the last dust of Krypton, you know, and it just lands, you know what I mean? And an open and but it gives you all, there's a lot of Krypton in this issue because it's Krypton's last moments. And what happens? What does Jor-El and Lara do? What are they capable of doing? Being farmers in this in this caste society. It's interesting. It really is. Because you got to also remember absolute Superman, absolute Batman, absolute Wonder Woman, Martian Manhunter, Flash, all of them. The entire universe is made of Darkseid. Yeah, that was his whole goal. Was his energy was going to create its own universe, its own Earth. And the thing is that the inciting incident of all of our heroes is a little different and it's a little darker. And then hence there's your universe. And I think the most robust one so far got to be absolute Wonder Woman. I mean Kelly Thompson, yeah, you really brought it on that one. Very proud of you. I didn't see that in Scarlet, the G.I. Joe book, I'm sorry to say. And I saw it a little bit in Birds of Prey. But this was actually, absolute Wonder Woman's actually pretty impressive. I feel that, yeah. But the worst thing about this book has got to be the sound effects. They're just so obnoxiously dropped and dragged. This is a very 21st century book. As I was telling with Jim today, it's like, Richard Isanove, that was 20 years ago. Who is Richard Isanove? He was one of the innovators of digital and print. You know what I mean? Blur effects, color gradients, that kind of shit. And just, and just that's, taking it off paper. You know what I mean? It's no longer about mixing palettes. It is. But it's about, there's a huge dash of coding involved because it's on a computer. And so, yeah, absolute Superman. I'll stick with it for a little while longer. Books. Hellhunters number 4. This is really fun. Phil Kennedy Johnson. See, like this, I'm using as evidence to counter the arguments that with all the grief that we got for Ultimates number 10, I quote tweeted Gabe Hernandez, aka Susgabe, from his Comical Opinions page on Twitter, and we both got rained on for our position on Ultimates number 10 by Dennis Camp fans, who I refer to as campers, spelled with 3 Ks. That's K, camper. Because they are low testosterone, Temu knockoff, soy-based Snyder Bros. Same kind of energy. Have you ever dealt with a Snyder Bro in the past 12, 13 years since Man of Steel? A Snyder Bro that, this is our Justice League. This is our Batman heroes. This is yeah. They're dark. We like it. And you're a pussy. Dude, they're so, Snyder Bros, man. I hope you never come across any. They're not very pleasant people. And so are the campers, Dennis Camp fans, who are really into the activism. They're into punching Nazis. And so this book is the same thing, but without the polemics of a one-sided, ideological messaging board. You know what I mean? Just no appeal to that. No, this is made for a general audience. This is Hellhunters number 4, and it's set in World War number 2, and it's got Bucky, a teenage Bucky, who's kill crazy. That's what it was. One of these retcons of Cap's story that Bucky, we get a lot conflated too with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Bucky, James Buchanan Barnes in the movie, played by Sebastian Stan, who was Steve Rogers, Chris Evans' best friend from Queens, and in the books, Bucky is literally the kid's sidekick. And in the golden age, back in the timely days, during World War II, during the first run of Captain America and the Defenders, you had this kid sidekick, Bucky. You also had Toro, who was the kid sidekick to the original Human Torch. Did Namor have a kid sidekick? And I'm not sure. But it was like a Bronze Age or even a modern age, definitely modern age retcon. I forget who did it too. I'm wondering if it was Brubaker. But Bucky was actually kind of very angry young person whose mission it was to kill on orders outside of what being Captain America's sidekick. So that was the cover story was that he was Captain America's kid sidekick. The truth was he was a 15-year-old stone cold assassin. And they play with that here in Hellhunters. And it's a good time with it. You don't have Wolverine in here. You have Logan. You have look at this Logan scene because he has no reveal of his claws yet. Which would be his bone claws. And I'm surprised that he's being known as Logan because I honestly thought in World War II for the Canadian army there, he was James Howlett, but instead of having his claws, he's got a knife in each hand and his healing factor, and he's killing a shitload of Nazis. And see, we have no problems with Nazi killing or Nazi punching. I have every problem with, a lefty progressive whose whole rallying cry since 2026 is been punching Nazi for anyone that disagrees with them in a way. That's hyperbole. There's a lot of, satirical, feeling stuff in that too. So, I mean, before you get all your dander up. Hey Mo, good to see you. Salam everybody. So yeah, Hellhunters. This is my counter to the people saying to us online, like, oh, you don't like killing Nazis? You don't like punching Nazis? What are you, a Nazi lover? What do you want to go to bed with one? Huh? I bet you do, you Nazi. Like, this is like the attitude you get from these people for having a criticism about a comic book. You know what I mean? But this is made for a general audience, not some kind of micro niche. And also it struck me too, is like, heck, Spider-Man, because we have to talk about Spider-Man and Tom Breevort real quick. That Spider-Man can't be with Mary Jane because of editorial, decisions. And there's apparently some kind of very vocal minority of fans that send in the same form letter every week to shake their fist at Marvel editorial, keeping Mary Jane and Peter apart. I totally forgot where I was going with that. It'll come back to me in a second. I'm going to share this tab instead. All right. After Batman comments, does Marvel's Tom Breevort even understand what comics fans actually want? Tom Breevort's recent comments on Batman sales aren't the best news for Marvel fans. This is by David Harth. This is from comicbook.com and written yesterday. And it has a nice balance of being complimentary and also very critical. And Breevort has never hidden out from fans, from answering on multiple forums, from Substack to Bluesky to Twitter, and commonly talking about what he likes and he doesn't. And it's one of those opinions we're here to discuss. It involves using the success of Absolute Batman to subtly mock the opinions of Spider-Man fans who profess the superiority of Ultimate Spider-Man to that of Amazing Spider-Man, a book whose editorial philosophy he himself set forth almost 20 years ago. looking at these statements and what we've seen of the X-Men line, as well as taking into account much of Breevort's work, it all begs the question, does Breevort know what fans want? And you got some of these Breevort, and this is the one thing I did, like, I hate this, like, you know, modernism, out of touch. Out of touch is one of these overused phrases, kind of like punch a Nazi, or kind of like own a libtard, or kind of like, you know, it's just, but out of touch is, it's one of these marketing terms that marketing ad execs say to each other in these big business meetings of why we have to evolve and elevate the iconic brand, because the existing customer base is aging and it's out of touch with modern views and, you know. But this is saying that Breevort's opinion is out of touch with what fans want. And Breevort, he asks us on Bluesky, let me ask you this, fam. Is Batman cratering? Absolute Batman is consistently outselling it, right? Is Batman in the toilet? Do they need to bring Martha Wayne back to life in the main series? Seems crazy, right? You know, and that's the dig at the Mary Janers, the Mary Jane Peter fans. What do you think about Mary Jane and Peter? Let us know in the comment section. Let us know in the live chat what you like to say. Like, a lot of fans need to send in a pink slip saying, you fired. Send one every day, Titus Ball. Thank you. That's a good one. Yeah. And, but Breevort's opinion is surprisingly out of touch. And he's talking with someone called the Daikaiju Tony. Is that an apple over there like an orange? Is that apple over there like an orange? Which is a nice way, a succinct way to provoke a conversation. Mr. Breevort responds, you think Absolute Batman / Batman and Ultimate Spider-Man / Amazing Spider-Man isn't a legitimate comparison? I don't think it would be possible to find a more precise one. Daikaiju Tony, we'll just call him Tony. Tony says, I was referring to the latter comment about Martha Wayne. What exactly are you comparing that to? Breevort responds, Martha Wayne is an element of Abbat's Absolute Batman that's different from the regular book. So it's an analog to Pete and MJ and Ultimate Spider-Man. I don't think it's responsible for those sales either, but I think it's the sort of argument you guys are making. Correlation isn't causality. Ooh, the pseudo-intellectual here. Oh my gosh, that's me being judgmental. I'm sorry. I take that back, Mr. Breevort. I mean, a better comparison to Martha Wayne being alive in Absolute Batman would be Uncle Ben being alive in Ultimate Spider-Man, but I guess so. Then somebody else chimed in. We don't get a name. The name was blacked out or whited out here, but it's on Bluesky. And we can see that they have some kind of, you know, is that from, I can't see it from here. I wouldn't exactly call Mary Jane was trapped in a post-apocalyptic alternate dimension destroyed by an evil math wizard obsessed with a fake Mayan god named after a 5 days in the Mayan calendar because we're using the 2012 apocalypse phenomenon in 2023 in service of the premise of the series. And then Breevort is throwing Nick Lowe, Zeb Wells, under the bus right here. Hey, a not great story is a not great story. Every long-running series will have some duds. He said this on March 13th on Bluesky. And to be honest with you, I've got no problems. I don't have the problem. Okay, I don't have the problems that most people have with Zeb Wells' Amazing Spider-Man. And it's got a lot of dead air. And it's got too many variant covers. See, but I don't get my nose out of joint when it comes to Kamala Khan being like just dovetailed in there. Sure, it was a surprise. I mean, sure, why not? And the death of Kamala Khan thing is just like, hey, Dwayne, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you. And but it was completely overblown. I mean, but these are publishers. These are publishing stunts to get your attention, to get your clicks and metrics, and to occasionally get $4.99 a floppy at the local comic book shop. And it's but the whole thing, I mean, like, it started off with what? Like, this Peter standing at a crater. Jim and I were talking about this too, because it's a Pennsylvania town, and it just vaporizes the town. That's all that's left is a crater, and Peter's like shocking. And the whole tagline was, "What did Spider-Man do?" And I'm like, did that ever get resolved? What did he do? Was that the aftermath of bringing Mary Jane back home and trying to find that pocket dimension again? I don't know. That's why I ask questions. So, however, the old order changes, and the new books have taken the tops of the sales charts, with Absolute Batman and the Ultimate Spider-Man both outselling their mainline counterparts. And it goes on to be like, but it's like a lot of people are saying that Breevort's been there too long. He might be a legend. Yet even like Nolan Ryan had to retire one day. Even Cal Ripken Jr. had to retire one day. It's like Breevort is undeniably a legend at Marvel. The publisher would look very different without his guidance, and not necessarily in a good way. Breevort definitely works well with the creatives at the company as one of the greatest living Marvel historians. But it feels like Breevort just doesn't understand the problems Marvel is facing. In the eyes of many fans, Breevort personifies everything that is wrong with Marvel. A hindbound approach to storytelling that ignores what made the Marvel Universe so vital in its creative heydays throughout the 60s and the 80s. The growth of the characters and the universe. The old Marvel Universe felt like a place that was changing. The current Marvel Universe feels like a place that is always resetting to status quo, with the events that came right before it just blending into the background noise of event after event, in soft reboot after soft reboot. That is Breevort's Marvel Universe. Tom Breevort was the editor of Amazing Spider-Man back in One More Day. And catch up with the chat real quick. Dip-a-dip-a-doo. There we go. Doop-a-doo. As my friend Scott, the Sporking News Podcast, says, a doop-a-doo. Yeah. I, for one, okay, how long ago was One More Day? 18 years ago. How long does it take for a human generation? Cultural. I asked this question of Grok. I ask Grok a lot of things now. Mr. Yanafui! Hello. Good to see you. Oh, if you're taking requests, you should maybe do something about Mr. Fraga, Miss Taylor Swift's Bad Blood. I watched that video for the first time today, and it's pretty tight. I know it's like 10 years old, but I kind of ignored Taylor Swift's rise. I don't listen to the radio anymore. Yeah. But I was like, wow, this is a tight single. Oh, that's a really tight video. I'm like, oh, cool. Good to see you, Mr. Yanafui. But yeah, so there's been literally, a generation takes 20 to 30 years. So 20 years is fine with me. I mean, that works. So it's been almost a whole generation of Spider-Man creators and Spider-Man stories that Peter and MJ have been a part. It's a whole generation. Now we have a whole multiverse where Pete and MJ are together. You got the Sony movies, you got the Sam Raimi ones, those Sony movies, you got Mayday Parker, the Spider-Woman, Spider-Girl from that future we all want, the daughter of MJ and Pete. You got Ultimate Universe. They got Richard and May. Is the daughter's name May? I forget. I mean, the best thing that they could do is they got to stop making Peter a loser, and that's not the Parker look. And I think that's something tonally that what Joe Kelly's doing, such as in this week's Amazing Spider-Man number 69, the death and rebirth of Peter Parker. He's given a second chance by the daughter of Citrac, who is like impressed with this one human's, empathy and his great responsibility that he takes for having great power. And I can dig that, So maybe it's just a new Spider-Man with a new lease on life. You know what I mean? Maybe he can finally rectify, he can finally reconcile that, Mary Jane's moved on. She's literally 3 years older than you physically now. She was a year younger than him, was in that time vortex world for 4 or 5 years, so she's older than him, physically. He's about 30 years old. She's got to be in her mid 30s now. She's like, 33 or 34. Yeah. But he doesn't have to be a loser. He doesn't have to, the Parker look doesn't mean, being a complete sad sack. And maybe because the Parker luck runs strong sometimes and good. Remember, there was Parker Industries, the big time era with Dan Slott. That was some good stuff. That all came to a head, though, with Superior. And the last time Peter died, And I think that that's why I like the article there, because it's like, it's just one status quo after another. It's like, that was a really good argument, and I thank David Harth for making it. He's a comics feature writer at comicbook.com, and he's been writing professionally for 6 years. Former staff writer at CBR, Comic Book Resources. That used to be like, if you weren't reading Wizard in print, I was reading CBR.com and the message boards and and stuff like that. Yeah. I think that's a nice, fair article. What do you think? Let me know. But maybe maybe Peter can go forward. I don't know. As I'm fond of saying, I don't have answers. All I have are more questions. Awesome. Isn't that nice? Frank Thierry give us such a nice compliment. It's so cool. Oh yeah, what else is in this stack of comic books? And I was a bit of a sucker for a facsimile. Uncanny X-Men 133 for $4.99. This is one of the best Wolverine stories ever. He's alone. The rest of the X-Men are captured, and they're bound at the feet of the Hellfire Gang, who have, brainwashed Jean Grey with Mastermind and Wolverine. And this is John Byrne art. Yeah, I was going to say Jim Byrne. Sorry. But Terry Austin inks. This got the goods, man. I always loved the design of the Hellfire henchmen because they look like rag dolls. And this Wolverine is just cutting through these rag dolls. Look at that. Those are kill shots. Like you go, boom. They're so good. Look at that. And the great coloring on it, too, because it's like, he had this thing called the Berserker Rage. And look at old ads. I love that. I like these facsimiles a lot. He's like, "Come on, bub." he drops and runs. There's no getting away from the Wolverine. But then I dived through the. See, I'm gifted and blessed with a comic shop that has a bus stop right in front of it, and I can take this bus like 7 minutes around down the street, around the corner 3 times, to like the bottom of my street. And so waiting for the bus, so I'm like, it's about 12 minutes for the bus. Let me look through the dollar bin. And so I picked up $1 each, 3 old friends. I was basically an uncanny X-Men reader, uninterrupted between X-Men 170 and Fall of the Mutants, which was what? That was like 236. Well, so we're about 5 years between the ages of 10 and 15. I was a monthly reader and getting these at my local comic book shop. Mm-hmm. And so I had these. And so we've got some John Romita Jr. art. We've got, look at these ads. I love the ads. These are reader copies. So these are just like, yellowed pages. You know what I mean? Spine roll, dings. I tell you, there's some ding going on here. But also I got 186, Life, Death, A Love Story. And this is Barry Windsor Smith with inks by Terry Austin, which is interesting. And colors by, I think, isn't the colors by Wine and Shelley. And that's usually Glennis Wine. I kind of did, sure. I think it's kind of interesting. You got Rachel Ziegler, who's this shameless activist, especially she's Free Palestine, and her co-star is an Israeli. I think she's got 4 daughters. And so, I think that Gal Gadot has every right to be not wanting to be in the same room as Rachel Zegler. And I heard also it's just Disney is like, canceling red carpets because they don't want Zegler herself answering questions with the press. And rightfully so. She's a nightmare. She really is. She's actually been signed to do a musical in London. My friend Paulie, the Latino Slant, was reporting on that. And I was like, well, with her views on the Middle East, she's going to fit in quite well in London, England. But Cheo, waka waka. Yeah, Life, Death, A Love Story. It was a $1 comic. It was a double issue. Yeah. Speaking of another double-sized issue, right around the corner, about a year later, the Milestone X-Men 200. I remember having this too. Yeah, exactly. Dreadstar. That's something I never got into as a kid. Jim Starlin. I mean, this is great. Epic Comics. That was a Marvel imprint. Pre-Vertigo. I mean, because Epic was, you could have like magazine-sized, more expensive, made for like more mature audiences. That's great. But this is X-Men 200 with art by John Romita Jr., inks by by Dan Green, and this is like I said, I feel like before this Romita Jr. was on Amazing Spider-Man, and I was reading that too. So look at this ad. Oh yeah, and this is the center. This is the it's a splash page in the center of the book where the staples are. Spidey and his amazing friend, Mr. T, the Gummy Bears, Alvin and the Chipmunks, Punky Brewster, the animated show, Snorks, Smurfs, and you got Laser Tag Academy there. We got a kid video though, and there was also that was the 85-86 morning. So that was when I was 12 going on 13. Spider-Man and his amazing friends. Yeah. And I heard about that casting though for Spider-Man 4. They got that cute redhead from Stranger Things. So people are saying, like, what if you had Iceman and Firestar? What if they were Spider-Man and his amazing friends? Because isn't Peter in college? Isn't he at Empire State University? He just graduated high school. That was the completion of No Way Home. You know, with the memory wipe and graduating high school, and you know, the death of Aunt May, and putting on the typical, the more iconic suit, non-Stark armored, you know. But yeah, I mean, I grew up on this art. I love Romita Jr. This is good stuff. And yeah, those. And that is what I bought this week at my local comic book shop. Yeah, and then the occasional Barry Windsor Smith in there too. And but yeah, overall, I mean, just like, I don't know, I was like too young at the time to like really know like that, caring about like specific artists now. Like looking in hindsight, it's like you gain it then too. But I was never like, oh wow, Romita Jr. I mean, I was starting to get like a bit doughy-eyed over Pete Sienkiewicz, because it's like he was just so out there. And then I guess like one of maybe like the first, you know, artists I really was standing up and noticing was Kyle Baker in 1987 and 1988 on his on The Shadow with Andy Heffler. I mean, I loved that book. Mo, have a good one. Thank you for, you know, let's make the world grateful again. Salam, and thank you so much for tuning in. So I think, yeah, Spider-Man 4 with Tom Holland, that would be cool if they, like, you know, it was his roommates are Firestar and Iceman, and from there you can bridge like some X-Men stuff. Yeah, and you can have a Bobby as gay as you want, and you can race swap them, and you can do anything you want. The MCU has always gone to the beat of its own drummer from the first movie, from Iron Man 1 in 2008, for his admission right at the end, I am Iron Man. Remember, that was Jarvis was a human butler. You know, Hank Pym invented Ultron. Peggy Carter was never a love interest. It was always Sharon in the now. And the list goes on and on. The divergences between the MCU and its source material. Indeed. Oh, see, let's see. What did we have here for comic books this week? I'll advise you to go listen to Jim and me at Weird Science. Let me get that link again. Wakazashi's Tea House. Wakazashi's Tea House. I was over at his place last night. Got a little drunk. And it's St. Patrick's Day weekend in Boston. What's my plans for St. Patty's Day tomorrow? Nothing much. Tomorrow is also Evacuation Day. March 17, 1775. General George Washington took an aggressive position at Dorchester Heights in South Boston, Massachusetts. Hence why that's why we host the parade. He set up cannon and bombed the British fleet that was stationed in Boston Harbor and cleared the British out of Boston. That's why it's Evacuation Day. The British held control over New York and Manhattan, but not Boston. And I think that's where like the big separation of the sports teams comes from. Like why there's such a animosity and a rivalry, one could say, between Boston and New York. We were the free city, and you were occupied. And we freed, and you got freed one day, like near the end of the war. At the end of the war, yeah. Yeah, like Happy Hogan and Pepper Potts, they were the couple. It was never Tony and Pepper. You know, Tony had a fling with Natasha. I mean, that's huge. Didn't Natasha leave Matt Murdock, Daredevil, for Tony Stark? One of my favorite moments in Brian Bendis' old Daredevil was Matt's all despondent and shit and goes to Natasha's, apartment unannounced, and he knocks on the door and she opens it going, Tony? I'm like, oh, it's Matt. Yeah, that happened. Poor Matt. Aww. But yeah, the MCU has always been divergent from its source material. So, I mean, I don't think it's, every race swap that they do, every modern thing that they do, I mean, it's insular to its own universe, I think. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. What did we read this week? I read Amazing Spider-Man 69. Talked about that a bit. Yeah, I mean, just like the art was good. It elevates the mediocre story. It's going somewhere because it's wrapping up. This is a 12-issue little mini event, and it could have been 7 issues shorter. Yeah, this could have been a better story if it was concise. All New Venom number 4 by Al Ewing. The art's okay, but there's an alarming trend of just such casual murder of civilians in the background in these Marvel books. And I notice these things. I get that's my thing. I notice things. What else did I read this week? Alien Paradiso issue 4, I believe, of 5. It's it's pretty gruesome because the aliens are xenomorphs are ripping apart this corporate pleasure planet. There's like an island resort in this corporate pleasure planet. And of course, Weyland Yutani I thought it was a good excuse to release some xenomorph eggs down there and see what happens. Maybe we can get our elusive specimen or something like that. Hey, look, it's oh, wow, this character ended up being a synthetic. Oh, boy. Once in a failed canon and an unrealized shared universe, Yutani Weyland was a competitor of Tyrell in Blade Runner. Synthetics versus replicants. Which is the most superior form? Now, the movie Soldier with Kurt Russell was supposed to have kind of tied the two together in a way, because how there was a conceptual continuity in the late 80s because you had Terminator versus RoboCop, so you had some kind of maybe going on there, but you most definitely, and these were Dark Horse books, you definitely had Predator versus Alien, which was fleshed out and adapted into 2 movies. So so we definitely, Predator and Alien are a shared universe. But was Alien and Blade Runner supposed to be? There is one line in it's in Aliens, the James Cameron one, and I think it's Dallas's file, and it has some, he worked for the Tyrell Corporation. Dallas was the captain of the Nostromo and part of the crew that didn't make it. Only Ripley survived the Nostromo. So it's like the Act 1 where she's being debriefed, and you see the big screen behind her, and it's got pictures of all the killed crew of the Nostromo. So on Dallas's, played by Tom Skerritt, on his info card it says he worked for the Tyrell Corporation, and that is the one little piece of trivia that could make this a unified kind of continuity, kind of. So that would make your Weyland Yutani synthetic, your David, your Bishop with the milk looking blood, versus the Tyrell Corporation or the Rosens in the book do Android's Dream of Electric Sheep by Philip K. Dick. And instead of being called skin jobs, they were called Andes for androids. And that was a slur. Yeah. Wouldn't that be something? So is that enough to join the universes? Probably not. But it's great comic book shop style conversation. I can tell you that much. Oh, boy. Yeah, I'm starting to lose my voice. I skipped Deadpool 12 this week. That's written by Cody Zegler. Let me look. I can look at it right now. It's Pools of Blood, Part 3, and it's Cody Ziegler who's writing Miles Morales Spider-Man as well, with a crossover with Miles Morales Spider-Man. And it's Deadpool and daughters teaming up with Miles Morales and his vibranium spider suit that he earned with his latest, vampirific challenge with the Black Panthers and Shift and yeah, it's not that good. I hit the wall with both Deadpool and Miles Morales. I was rooting for Miles Morales Spider-Man for a while. I've been reading it for over a year, and yeah, oh my gosh, Phil the Kill, good to see you, man. And the earliest Dark Horse Alien books, the black and white ones, oh my god, those things were so good. There's a Marvel omnibus. They've reprinted the aliens, the Dark Horse Aliens book. So it's like, I'm pretty sure it's omnibus number 1. I have to check at my local comic book shop. I have a gift certificate from my parents from last year for my birthday that I have yet to spend, and that would be I would definitely spend it on that. I have to look for that. That's a good idea, Sully. Why don't you do that? I can do that. I can do that. What else did I read this week? Nick Fury and Nick Fury versus Fin Fang Foom, issue number 1. J. Michael Straczynski has got this series of Marvel team-ups, and he's doing a series of one-shots. And it's not that they share of an overstory either. They don't. And maybe at the very end, maybe it'll all tie in or something. But for right now, they're all a bunch of one-shots, and they're unrelated. And they've been pretty fun. It started with Doctor Doom and Rocket Raccoon number 1 a couple of months ago, and a couple of weeks ago it was Captain America and Volstagg. Volstagg is one of the Warriors 3 of Asgard, one of Thor's buddies, and it was a genuinely heartfelt, warm tale, very well rendered by Bernard Chang, who gave us a really nice compliment too. And it was Jim and I did a review on it last week. So Jim and I did this week, we did Nick Fury versus Fin Fang Foom number 1, J. Michael Straczynski, and it's a 1940s Nick Fury and the Howling Commandos versus this telepathic alien dragon of Marvel, big badness. And it works, and it's fun. And it's real, I'm really enjoying these books, and I'm looking forward to the next one, which is Hulk and Doctor Strange. Interesting combo. And the one after that's going to be Ghost Rider versus Galactus, and then Spider-Man versus the Marvel Universe. Wow, that's yeah, these have been pretty good. So far, J. Michael Straczynski is 3 for 3 with these one-shots. Hell Hunters, we covered that. Helverine, issue 4. Ben Percy's writing this. It's about Akihiro, who is otherwise known as Daken, who is Wolverine's son and has claws, and he was killed by Sabretooth and taken apart, dismembered, and left in letters to say happy birthday, Runt. And in the Sabretooth War, he got stitched back together, and now one of the evil spirits of hell and hellfire, and like it's like, so now he's got this flaming head like Ghost Rider and flaming claws. But I love the design, great design. It's all right, you know, it wasn't great. Iron Man #6 by Spencer Ackerman. Great art, great pencil line art by Julius Ota, and it's basically, it's the first part of the new arc, but also it works as a standalone, which I appreciate. So you have Tony Stark in Russia doing some kind of arms deal, and they get, you know, broken up by the Winter Guard, all these former Soviet agents, a Red Guardian, the Bear, some chick, and a Crimson Dynamo, the Crimson Dynamo, and who's been Crimson Dynamo was the old Soviet Union armor man, and also Titanium Man. So those were the the forces of communism versus the forces of capitalism embodied in Tony Stark, Iron Man. JK, thank you so very much. Good to see you. Have good and hello to you and kiddo, and have a great day. Thank you so much for coming by. Yeah, my voice is starting to go. We might just wrap it up. And but Iron Man #6, it was the least sucky of the books so far. Namor by Jason Aaron wraps up with issue 8. It lands. That's it. I mean, the artist is Paul Davidson and inked by Alex Linz. Well, I know it's hard to draw feet. It is hard to draw feet. And Namor is usually a barefoot superhero. So you can see those little wings he's got. Phoenix #9 by Stephanie Williams. It tries. I mean, hopefully it's got its market. Hopefully it's got its audience. It's part of the From the Ashes. It's what Jean Grey's doing cosmically in space. We've got Nova. We've got Rocket Raccoon. We've got what's that? Thanos is the Black Order. We got those people mixed up in it. So you've got like cosmic level threats out there, and I don't know. We're gonna find out. That would be great. I mean, these have been really fun so far, and it's what we've been asking for: A-level talent with A-level talent, giving us really good stories. So, I mean, these J. Michael Straczynski one-shots, all 3 of them so far, have been on the money. I bought the last one. You know what? I just might go buy the other 2. You know, because, yeah, I mean, reward what you like by buying it. The only way we're going to save comic books is if we show up and spend our money at our local comic book shop, our LCS. All right. I'm a big advocate for that. Power Man Timeless #2 by Lansing and Kelly. Art by Bernard Chang, who gave us such a really good recommendation. He said, you know, he liked our review of Volstagg and Captain American Volstagg. The art here, it's good. It's cartoony. It's got a really kind of like a line weight to it. It reminds me a lot of Michael Avon Emming. He's got a very distinct look, and but it's as like a power set goes, it's like it's a Luke Cage from the future, and so he's been imbibed with the power of the Century, with the power of the Hulk, and he still has his unbreakable skin, you know. So he's completely overpowered, and he's like the last hope of the Marvel universe in some kind of alternate future. And yeah, I mean, it's okay. For Lansing and Kelly, it didn't suck. I mean, I'm sorry I have to say it like that, I mean, those two did put together a decent Guardians of the Galaxy book with that art by Kev Walker. And I'm not even a Guardians of the Galaxy fan, and I kind of enjoyed the heck out of that book, because of the art too. The art, look, really good art can elevate a mediocre story. I'm a big fan of saying that because I made it up. I didn't make it up. I just observed it and defined it. But I believe that. So Sabretooth, the Dead Don't Talk, number 4 of 5. Really good book. Great art by Michael St. Maria. Great story by Frank Thierry. He doesn't reinvent the wheel. He just gives you a nice, smooth ride. And he was really happy that we described it as Sabretooth meets Scorsese's The Gangs in New York. It's set in 1909. It's a little steampunky. It's a little gaslit. And I don't mean that in the connotation of arguments. I mean that literally as in, pre-electric, pre-light bulb. So it's like light sources indoors and at night are all from, some kind of not too, very bright, source. Lights, you know what I mean? They're usually from a gas fire or sunlight or gas lights. And it's got an interesting story to it. And I think the art in it is really, really good. And we get this like a steampunk version of an Iron Man suit. I'm like just gonna hopefully maybe next issue, the last issue, you see like Howard Stark as a boy with his father on a raft in the East River, finding this steampunk suit of armor. You know what I mean? And salvaging it. Wouldn't that be? I just could. You know what? Maybe we'll find out next issue. But we're reading it, and it's fun because. I suggested it to Jim just by chiming in on every time I read it. And he was like, okay, I'll give it a second try. He really liked it. And I really liked it. And we had a really, really awesome hour-and-a-half long conversation about 2 really good comic books. And if that can get your ass into the local comic book shop and you can spend $10 on that, you know what I mean? You're helping a mom and pop brick and mortar shop survive in this American economy. This is the American dream. Owning your own, bookstore. It's a local bookstore. It's a small business. Go out and spend your money at your local comic book shop. I say that a lot because I believe it. Star Wars: The Legacy of Vader, number 2, written by Charles Sully with art by Luke Ross. It's set between episodes 8 and 9 in the sequel continuity of the Disney stuff. And it's our emo prince, the scar-faced, galactic leader, the supreme leader of the First Order, Kylo Ren, and he's gone to the planet Tatooine. The art in it is pretty tight. Luke Ross's art is okay, but it's. In Charles Sully, he's one of the major heavy hitters when it comes to Marvel Star Wars. In the past 2015 and the new Disney Marvel Star Wars, like Jason Aaron, Kieran Gillian, Charles Sully, those are like the 3 big storytellers. And then you have like Alex Segura, Kevin Scott, Mark Guggenheim, and another tier underneath those first 3, in my humble opinion. That's what I've pretty much have seen. Dwayne Muth says only 2 Marvel books I read are Hulk and the JMS one-shot team-ups. The rest ain't for me. That's fine. Spend your money on what you like and what you're going to actually put into a bag and a board and put into a box. I mean, actually, and I usually take comic books I disfavor and I segregate them, and then eventually I just kick them over to one of my nieces or nephews, Let's see. Anything else did I read this week? West Coast Avengers number 5, Jerry Duggan. The only part of it I really like is the Killer Watt angle, reformed bad guy who is kind of like trying to, get into a relationship with Firestar. And he's kind of the bad boy of the team, but he's been given a chance. And Ultron, there's a good Ultron, and he's an Avenger. He's a West Coast Avenger. And, and so it goes. X Factor 8 and X-Men, Adjectiveless X-Men number 13. These are parts 4 and 5 of the 7-part X-Man Hunt, which is Professor Xavier has escaped from Grey Malkin prison. He believes his daughter. Him and Leandra have a daughter named Xandra, and she is the Empress of the Shi'ar Empire, apparently. But is it for real? Is it a real SOS? What could force Charles to want to leave his earned sentence? He feels guilty. He'll stay in his cell because that's like his sent. You know what I mean? He's sinned against mutant and humankind in the fall of X. What could motivate him to want to break out and violate, his sentence, his daughter, yeah. So buttons. Only 2 more parts left of that. Yeah, the X-Men set it up, and then X Factor, the team, comes in, and it's a fight between brothers, between Alex and Scott Summers, whose powers don't work on each other. And that's part of it. It's like they both they have the same power. They just use it differently. They apply it differently. I guess that's the story. But also when they use it on each other, it doesn't work. So you have Scott like shooting above Alex to make a cave in. So he gets trapped under some rubble and stuff. You know what I mean? So he's, that's Scott Summers, tactical genius. Scott Summers, tactical genius. And those are the 16 Marvel books that I read this week. And my voice is kind of getting away with me. And this is my 4th podcast in 2 days. So I'm going to wrap it up here. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in today. Suggest this channel. Hey, Ricky B, how you doing? My nieces and nephews, kids that still read comics. My kids only know manga, and that is from YouTube or anime on Netflix. I kick over. Yeah, I've been buying them comics all their life, and now they're, she's 15, he's 14, and they're only getting older. So it's, but I still, kick them over books, and you know what? I had aunties, and they always bought me books, and it was always nice. And so it's like, someone's thinking about you. Someone thought, oh, Sully bought me a book. He's always, he always did. And that's part of it. So, yeah. And, yeah, it's nice to, to pass the torch. They're good kids and they're smart and they like, and I think they like it. I always hear like, oh, do they like the books? Oh yeah, they like the books. It's they're kids. I mean, they don't really like rave about that stuff. They got their own stuff. Hey, Mark, good to see you. I didn't think the new X-Men books would be as bad as the Krakoa era, but they are at least as bad and got there in way less time. That's funny. That's awesome. Awesome. And Phil the Kill says, thanks. He's going to rewind for the first hour to catch up. Awesome. Thank you so very much. And smash that like button, hit that share button. If you are out there in TV land and you haven't subscribed yet, well, why don't you stop, drop, and giggle and hit that subscribe button? I'm hoping to break 2,000 subscribers by the end of this calendar year. We're a small but growing channel, and we have all the tools and all the skills and all the willpower to make this dream come together. You know what I mean? I only need 448,000 more to break, the 500,000 mark, and I get one of those silver plaques. So come on, you could be 404,008 and try the pudding. That's all I got. I'm done. God bless. Namaste. Good luck. And we will see you in those funny pages. That's right, Pika. I had a great day too. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.